Hi there, we're going to start a new series on BodiTrak Technicalities. This clip was sent to me by Jordan Young, one of the V1 test pilots in Michigan. And we're going to focus in on how the velocity chart corresponds to the COP trace. And the software that we will be providing you, the peak velocity is always indicated in the chart. And that number of the peak velocity will be on the left-hand side, and it'll also correspond to the peak velocity and numbers indicated in the user interface above the velocity chart. The key thing to note is that we use the crosshairs here, and 0 is the vertical line representing impact, 0 on the velocity chart, vertical line right here, that's impact. And then the horizontal line is, I call that the baseline, refer to it as the baseline. Crosshairs, if you will. So let's see what when we line up the velocity chart, the actual timelines, let's take a look at note the trend of the white dot on the COP trace on the left. It's moving towards the toe and towards the lead foot. And I want you to pay attention here, and this will probably hit home. The yellow line is above the baseline, which means that the pressure is moving towards the toe. When it's going downward, it's trending towards the heel. And when the white line, the lateral line, is moving upward, it's moving towards the lead foot. And when it's moving below the baseline, it's moving towards the trail foot. So let's just take a look at two key points. Well, let's take a look at this one at peak velocity. You're going to see on the COP trace, the white dot's going to be moving up towards the toe and also towards the lead foot. And I'll erase these lines so that you don't have to see those when you see the trace. And I'm using this currently on the V1 software, just importing the file to the V1. Okay, so watch the white dot. The white COP dot's moving forward towards the toe, and you can notice it on the yellow line. The yellow line is above the baseline, and the white line is also above the baseline. The yellow line represents the weight moving towards the toe, and the white line represents the weight moving towards the lead foot. So at this particular point, when those two lines converge, approximately now we've reached the crescendo, of which the speed is now at the fastest point, 131 centimeters per second. So let's just go to now one point to note is that in a well-hit shot, the transition point, which is the point when the white dot makes its second biggest move, in this case, all these little micro moves, we don't consider that a move, but the transition point is when the center of pressure makes its second big move. The first big move, of course, was to the trail foot in a lateral motion. And the second big move is going to be towards the lead foot. And it doesn't have to be in that sequence. It could be some golfers may not move that way. But we call this the transition point, just for reference, because we want to know what the weight distribution is at that transition point. In that case, it was 80. But regardless of that, we're on the trail foot. But regardless of that, now we want to know at what point the peak velocity almost always occurs post-transition. At least in every good shot that I've ever seen hit, or even in bad ones, the peak velocity occurs post-transition. But now let's take a look at this next 2 points. You see this white line above the baseline and the yellow line moving, trending towards below the baseline. That means at this point, that's going to happen right about here on the left. If you look left on the COP trace, that means that the COP trace is that's going to be now moving towards the heel. The yellow line represents the heel to toe motion. If you forget, we color coded on the chart. It's going to be moving downwards towards the heel, and it's still moving. The white line still moving forward. Keep on watching this. We're going to keep on going. White dot's moving now down, right? Correct. And now now watch the white dot start in this area right here. It's going to be below the baseline. So the white dot's going to actually be moving backwards as I move forward. It does. It backs up right there. You see the backup, that little micro move. Thanks, Jim McLean, for teaching me that terminology. That little micro move, and then it's going to release and go forward slightly to the heel as indicated right here. So you want to pay attention to where the line is trending, and that's how we understand to use the velocity chart in a more effective manner. I hope that gave you some insight. It's not as confusing once you break it into its simple parts, just much like the golf swing when you break it down to the grip stand, setup, backswing, and downswing. And we can even break up the golf swing into simpler motions, just weight transition to the right foot, to the trail foot, and to the lead foot. But again, just trying to assist you with the technicalities of learning how to read the velocity chart and how it relates to the COP trace. Terry Hashimoto with BodiTrak. Thanks very much.